Hi, Marc Billings. Thank you for joining me today for this conversation about NFTs, crypto art, and digital art on physical screens. I'm really happy that you wanted to talk with me because you run a company called Blackdove, where you actually are working with this transition from the digital to the physical. And To begin with, I would like to hear what Blackdove is and how Blackdove got involved in the NFT space.
Yeah, thanks, Jonas. It's great to be here. Appreciate you taking the time to showcase what we're doing. We've been building digital art distribution infrastructure for about 6 years now. And so Blackdove is in thousands of physical locations around the world where digital art is being displayed and enjoyed. And that experience has given us an opportunity to really participate in what is now the NFT movement. We particularly focus in on digital fine art. And the reason for that primarily is that we felt that the transformation from physical to digital art was an opportunity to help allow artists in this medium have a really expansive voice. And our mission was to be able to allow digital art to be hung directly next to traditional paintings and have an experience that was on par so that it felt very natural. And that's how we approach Blackdove.
So the physical screens, do they differ from what I experience at home? Is there something to them that makes them look like these paintings?
You know, we're definitely not in the screen business, okay? But what we have done is we've worked with LG to take the screens that they make and dial them in to make them better and better for digital art. And so we work in partnership with them, and we have updated firmware and designed the way the operating system works. And LG is an amazing company. They've got screens around the world. Now we work with all major manufacturer screens. You can download our app on any television, Apple TV, Samsung, LG, Vizio, Android TV, anywhere in the world, Amazon Fire Stick. Download our app and play the art. The works that we'll talk about in a second that are playing here, when we do physical art installations, we focus in on a lineup of displays that is unique to the space with features, meaning one, it can be hung in portrait orientation. Traditional consumer televisions cannot be hung in portrait orientation due to the way heat gets dissipated inside of the electronics. Number two, these displays become dedicated art screens. Every time you turn it on, it automatically boots into art. There's none of the mixing around. No, you don't have to do apps and find the apps. The on-screen user experience is natively portrait. These screens are about double the brightness of traditional consumer TVs, so they look really good in areas that even have high brightness. They are rated for 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 for between 5 and 7 years. They come with a 3-year warranty. I know a lot. They come with a 3-year warranty. And as important as anything else is that there's a hard drive inside of these. So the art locally caches so that you're not streaming all the time. And that's a cost savings and a quality increase.
That's really interesting. I was thinking now when you work with a crypto artist, NFT artist on your platform, how have your experience been in like onboarding these artists that come from a native digital space into understanding and wanting to work with physical screens?
Every artist wants to see their art in real life, right? Every artist. So there's a huge demand to make sure that the art is properly formatted in a way that showcases it best once the installation is complete. And so we have personally selected a very specific grouping of artists that we're helping develop their careers on. However, the platform is open. Artists can come and submit, and they typically learn for themselves, hey, this is what customers like, this is what they don't like. And so artists are always extremely happy when they get to see their art in one of our displays.
And are you working with museums already? Does museums have the interest in these digital installations? And
Yeah, absolutely.
especially of course, when thinking about NFTs and artists representing the NFT movement.
Yeah, so we've done 2 museum installations, one here in Miami with an artist named Marco Brambilla at the Perez Art Museum. And it's amazing. It's 18 feet tall, 6 displays. Really, it's called Heaven's Gate, one of the most interesting works of video art I've ever seen, of art in general. It's mastery of the medium. And, you know, museums represent a wonderful showcase to elevate an artist's career. So it's very important that museums have the tools necessary to manage their digital art collections and installations. And so we're more than available. We support museums in that way.
Have you seen a change in interest in digital art since the NFT, the ESE 721 token standard came around and made it possible to kind of own these pieces? Before, as I understand it, it would be more difficult to own a digital work, but now you can. Has the interest increased, and how has the environment for these things changed during your time in business?
Yeah, so, you know, museums are very, very slow moving institutions. And there's been a significant hesitancy to come into the digital space for museums, especially in the new medium. NFTs are, you know, a piece of technology as opposed to a description of art. The terms are a little bit overlapping right now, perhaps because of the fast moving nature of the industry. However, collectors are really driving the market, and collectors really drive museums. So collector interest in digital, because you can now own it, I think is really the story narrative right now, where, you know, that collector mindset can enter into the digital realm, and they can say, yes, I want to build a collection of digital art. And it can absolutely now happen with NFTs.
Yeah, my next question would have been if you imagine a future where one would visit museums and see digital screens in museums, just like paintings and other physical works. But I can understand that this is already happening. So this is a future that is already unfolding. Um, and you worked with digital artists before you integrated NFTs to your service. Did those artists embrace the NFT standard then?
Yeah, they have. I think you know, almost every one of the artists on our platform has now started to mint their artwork. And again, I don't, you know, I think the invention of the blockchain and the concept of a unique hash for token is, you know, uniquely well positioned for digital assets, right? And so it's a very, very natural transition into the NFT market. I think there's still, our thesis on this is that we're in 1.0 right now. We think that as our network and as other networks of screens get connected, that the sort of market economics are likely to shift. The good news is we think they're going to shift in the artist's favor, and therefore, we've always been a publishing platform for artists. Consumers, of course, see us as a gallery because that's the word that we use for a business that sells art. But from a artist perspective, we're delivering tools and services that allow an artist to create and distribute their artwork.
Yeah, yeah. And how do you envision this shift will look like?
We think that the shift will expand into larger edition sizes and potentially open editions.
Okay, yeah. So we're going from one minted work and then to, because there will be more demand, I'm just thinking loud, but then artists will begin to mint, let's say, 100 pieces of each work because more collectors will be interested in buying them. Is that?
Yeah, think about books. Books are probably the closest equivalent.
Yes, of course. Yeah, yeah. On a regulatory note, how do you have any considerations on how this will work in terms of what the NFT is and what the collector buy when they buy one?
So far, I don't think regulators can keep up with how fast the industry is moving.
Yeah.
And I don't think it's going to really, I don't think they have the time to care. They're still, they're still fighting after, they're still litigating Web 1, right? So like, I think the concept of this is going to take years to develop. Other than the securitization, that's a whole different conversation. Securities laws are, obviously very, very important for societal structure. But, art is one of the great unregulated industries of the world. And it's, nobody really cares. It's just art, right? It's not hurting anybody. So it's a good market. It's a good market to play in, and it's a very positive. It's a wonderful, wonderful business to be in.
That's a amazing remark. And if we look forward, not only for Blackdove, but also the NFT industry and community in general, how do you think this will develop from now? It's growing so fast, and so many initiatives are happening every day. But what do you think? What direction do you think we're walking in?
Well, I take it back. I get a little philosophical about the answer to that question, Jonas. I subscribe to the concept that we as humans, to live our best life, want to surround ourselves with things that are both meaningful to us and help educate us along our journey through life. And I mentioned this briefly before, but our belief is that art is probably the most undervalued asset in the world today, because art can now be shared by everybody in the world at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine, as I like to say, imagine if the Bible was a one of one, right?
Yeah.
Imagine, right? And that means that those ideas, or any great book, any great piece of intellectual property that's been created. And so this, this is the equivalent to, and I don't know how to define this, but the model that we are are delivering personally, we think it's the equivalent to the printing press.
Yeah. That's marvelous. Yeah, for sure. The printing press for digital art, or
It's that same historical impact.
yeah, yeah,
right?
yeah.
And our artists, the when we do installations, and I'll show you the screens in just a second. But when
Yes.
we do installations, the feedback we get from customers is that the positive impact in their life is far greater than they expected. Far greater. Because truly we don't understand what art is. So many people have grown up, and you in Copenhagen have a wonderful arts history in that city. And art is considered a public right? Beautiful museums. It's a right. Art is a well-respected document, especially throughout Europe and in your area. But in America, by example, a lot of people grow up thinking that art is what they see in some museum, right? And they think it's a Renaissance painting or one of the masters. And I think that's art. And that's just old art, right? Art has this ability to connect you to another human being in a way that is just rare. And the beauty of art is that the artist has an opportunity to tell their story or tell their ideas. And when people have now the opportunity in their home, so the way Blackdove works by design is that you can change the art anytime you want. So you have one work of art playing as I do right now, right? And so let's give a demo here for a second, Jasper. Jonas. So here's
Yeah, I was
work.
just gonna ask if we could. Yes, fantastic.
So this is, I've got screens all over my house because we're constantly sort of prepping and getting them out. This is a 75-inch display. You can sort of see it. It's about 5 feet tall. And this work is by artist Jamie Scott. And it's about 3 minutes of watching a flower go from blooming all the way through wilting and death. And Jamie does 200 plus or minus hours of time-lapse photography and then stitches it together into this 3-minute amazing work. And a traditional person who goes to a museum looks at an artwork for 4 seconds, no matter what the artwork is, 4 seconds. So that's one frame. This is 60 frames per second for 3 minutes. So imagine the pleasure that one gets in being able to experience such beauty for 3 minutes long. It's amazing, amazing. And you might have this on for a week. You might have this on for, 2 days, whatever that is. And then using the way we've structured the platform, okay, is that you can then immediately change it. So I just changed it from my mobile phone, which you can't see. And lo and behold, a new work of art, which is called Angel of the Forest. And this is a very, very different work. It's a very different work. This is by artist, his name is Kenneth Wayne Alexander. So when you switch it, it does a download feature. And Kenny's based in Memphis and does these moving image collages based on the history of his life experience. And the works are so rich and filled with allegory that you get lost wondering. To me, it reminds me of, and I'm just now placing it, but it sort of reminds me of, historic literature like the Iliad and the Odyssey. We have such depth of storytelling that I just love asking Kenny questions like, what is that? And what's that for? Every element has a meaning in this work. So, it's really amazing to be able to, that power, we've never before had that power, right? It's like, it's like Spotify, right? Before we had to go to the record store to get a new record, and it's great, right? But now I get to experience music, which makes me happy. I love it. And, now that same opportunity is in art. It's the first time. It's an exciting time.
Yeah, it's really good to see because I think something that a lot of people that maybe look at the NFT space, they wonder is what happens to all these NFTs, and this is a good example on what can happen to high quality NFTs and high quality digital art, that you actually can get this emotional and visual experience one-to-one with the screen. Yeah.
And truly, Jasper, I mean, Josh, I think that this is sort of the game changer in the market. I think that once people do experience the art in their spaces, there will be a flight to quality because it's genuinely that impactful.
Yeah.
And so, truly the opportunity to have the art and moving image, collectors will begin to demand it. Artists will then be able to understand, okay, this is what an artist will meet that opportunity because the artists of the world deserve the opportunity and are just amazing people that, should have their arts seen. I'm excited.
Fantastic. Thank you for taking the time to talk with me today. It's really been a pleasure.
It is really appreciated that you're covering the space and covering Blackdove. And please let me know anytime that we can share with you again.